All right. It's beginning to look a lot like earnings season. Less attention on the various different business networks on the Fed. More attention right now being paid on the numbers. And we had a bunch today. Wells Fargo. Stock's down right now, shrinking profits, and it was again had to do with some of the settlements that the company needs to make for all of the shenanigans, the chicanery that they've been involved with over the years. I haven't checked recently. I don't know where the stock is right now. Citigroup's fourth quarter profit was down by 21%. Again, one of the reasons why it was down is that they put more money aside for credit losses in case the economy deteriorates. They're putting a little bit more money aside for that. Again, is it really a loss? No, it's just putting money aside. JPMorgan, they blew away profits. Bank posted a net income of $11,003.57 a share. That's up from $10.4 billion and $3.33 share a year ago. They're preparing too. I mean, Jamie Dimon came out and said, "Hey, listen, could have a mild, recession, and there's headwinds, and there's Ukraine, and there's this, and there's that, and okay, stuff we all know." But again, numbers keep coming across, the wire, but he's doing pretty well. Again, this is the important thing, is you kind of have to read between the lines in some of these things. Delta, I mean, crushed it. But then, stock's down because they're saying that the union contracts, and they don't know what they're going to be paying out. So there's some uncertainty there. Here, there, and everywhere. Try to trade this stuff. Good luck with that. Again, focus on the fundamentals. I'm going to go all Lou Mannheim on you here from the movie Wall Street. Remember Hal Holbrook? Focus on the fundamentals. That's how Hilton was. I forget what he said, companies he said. But anyway, it's true. You focus on the fundamentals. Traders out there trying to guess this, you're getting killed. I gotta share some stories with you. This has happened to me over the years based upon our profile. People tune in to the podcast or the radio show. They'll see me on TV and, listen to hear some of the things that I'm talking about here on the program. And they challenged me. Just fine. Trading's the way to go, and I got this software, and I got this, and I got this strategy and that strategy, and I'm killing it, and I'm making money, and that's great. Congratulations. And they'll almost be talking trash, trying to tell me how wonderful they are doing in all of their trading and how smart they are. And it all of a sudden, this happens. It's been happening for a long time. Not only just with traders. This also goes with people who don't listen to me when they call and they ask about some hedge fund or some high-flying tech stock or cryptocurrency, whatever it may be. Well, anyway, they go silent. And I don't hear from them. And I know what happened. They lost. And they lost big. And it's always been the case. I've never had everyone come back and say, "Hey, crit," a year later, after I warned them against something. Or, some, expert trader out there. "Oh, yeah, boy, man, I'm killing it. Look at the returns." No, it never happens. Sometimes I get people come back and ask for help in regards to rebuilding what they wrecked. But a lot of traders gone silent as of late. Many gone silent. Anyway, some more business stories I want to get in today. This is interesting. Again, I wasn't surprised by this. I had a feeling Goldman Sachs was going to have a difficult time. And quite frankly, I don't even know why they got involved with this. Their whole consumer lending push. What was it called again? Marcus. They were calling it Marcus. Their consumer lending push didn't work out. So they lost $3 billion on that. Again, I wish I missed the old days with Goldman Sachs. Where I mentioned this before here on the program. In the earlier part of my career, it was a firm I had an unbelievable amount of respect for. Reason being, it was a private partnership. Goldman Sachs, when they started trading public, I think it was either 1998, 1999. It was a partnership before then, and they had a certain way of doing things, and they most certainly were looking to put their clients first. I used to work with them back when we first started out with Markowski Investments. Used to use their research department. Worked with them very closely until they went public and everything changed. Anyway, some more business stories here. Tesla cuts its prices across models sold in the United States. Which ones here? I think it's the Model Y crossover. Wow. Cut the price base on that down to $52,990. It ain't cheap. It ain't cheap. Model 3, Model Y, obviously not the Model S. And the reason why they're doing this is they want to, you got to be under $55,000 in order to get that part of that, what is it, the Inflation Reduction. I don't know which act it was, but get that $7,500 tax deduction for buyers want to get. It's got to, the price of the car has got to be under $55,000. So they're doing that. And again, they're doing this all across the globe. People, stocks getting hit. Oh, geez, no, they make 20 grand per car. So they got a lot of room to maneuver there. And again, in a company like Tesla, where they're seeing more and more competition coming from other companies, they're going to have to, try to maintain their market dominance. And it's bring the prices down a little bit. Yep, they're going to get the $7,500. Thank you, all Tesla buyers. Thank you. I can't stand that nonsense. $7,500. I got to help pay for your car. Anyway, it's a proxy battle taking place. It was an interesting interview yesterday. I saw it was on CNBC. Nelson Peltz, who's been involved in these things in the past. He's got his what is it called? Treon Fund. And he's basically, he wants to get on the board of Disney. Disney they made their board small, went from 12 to 11, and they just put the guy from Nike on as a chairman for the board, and Peltz is not too happy about it. He's, the past year, it's bought 9.4 million shares, which is valued at about $900 million. And even the past year, past couple months, it accumulated these shares. And again, Peltz saying is that Disney has lost its way. And I agree. It most certainly has lost its way. You can see it in just some of the offerings that they have at the movie theater and how poorly they have done. Pixar, what was it that we were talking about this summer? They got a Pixar movie coming out when, I forget, I think it's the Indiana Jones. One of the movies, they moved to go head to head with a Pixar movie. Now, nobody would do that. Nobody would ever go head to head with a Pixar release. They don't have the panache anymore. Again, their theme parks are printing money. Their theme parks are printing money. However, their balance sheet is so bad due to some of the acquisitions that were made. And again, this is Bob Iger stuff. That's the thing about some of these CEOs out there. They do a couple, great things here and there, but then they blow it, and they cheap money. Gotta buy. They didn't figure out how to make money on streaming, and then they overpaid for Fox, and their balance sheet's a mess. So they are constant, servicing all of this debt that they've got to pay down, and it's Disney's need a lot of work. I mean, it's obviously salvageable. You talk about some of the brands that it has, but you'd most certainly have to change direction to some degree. And again, I'd start selling off assets. I would focus on your core, what you do best. Start selling off some of the things that are just going to distract you. Anyway, I got a kick out of this story. This doesn't happen often. Jamie Dimon and JPMorgan got scammed. They got ripped off. Yesterday they shut down this website that they bought. It is a college financial aid platform. They bought it for $175 million. Bought it for $175 million. They found out that, they're alleging that the company's founder created nearly 4 million fake customer accounts. This name of the website is Frank. Never heard of it. They bought it in September 2021 in an effort to deepen their relationship with college students. Again, I remember when I first went to college, and the credit card companies, that you know what they do? They line up there at the student union, and they'd offer you credit card. You get a free T-shirt or whatever it may be, trying to get kids wrapped up in becoming a debtor. Yeah, that's what they did. That's how they started the relationships. Anyway, JPMorgan touted the deal at the time as giving the fastest growing college financial planning platform, used by more than 5 million students at 6,000 institutions. Yeah. Months after the transaction closed, JPMorgan learned the truth after sending out marketing emails to a batch of 400,000 Frank customers. 70% of the emails bounced back. You think you might want to check that one out ahead of time? Now, again, Jamie Dimon signed off on this deal, but somebody's going to be losing their job over there. Somebody's going to be losing their job. You might have maybe wanted to look into this to a little bit greater degree, do a little bit more due diligence. Anyway, Apple CEO Tim Cook getting a pay cut for 2023, a measly $49 million. Actually, Cook requested it based upon the share performance over the course of the year. Last year, it was $83 million in stock awards, $12 million in incentives, $3 million in salary, not to mention retirement plan contributions, security, personal air travel, $46,000 in vacation cash out. Anyway, again, talking a little bit about Tim Cook. Since he's taken over Apple, I think the stock is up 900%. It's close to 900% since he's taken over. So he's done a hell of a job, and he is without a doubt, he is a genius when it comes to supply chains, logistics. This year obviously had a little bit of trouble, the COVID, China, and they're making some changes right there, but there's no doubt that Apple is a well-run company. It is a well-run company. Now, I've talked about this before. Am I waiting? Are we all kind of waiting for, what's next? What are they going to come up with? What's going to be the next gadget? I mean, some of the gadgets that they have brought forth under Tim Cook, with the watch, the earbud thing, I make a lot of money on those things. They do. They make a hell of a lot of money on those things. Hey, Apple TV. I'm part of the ecosystem. Okay, I'm in. I'm all in. And guess what? Once they get you in, they got you. That's kind of the brilliance of how they designed this company. Not many people have Android phones and a Mac, or an Android phone and Apple TV and maybe an iPad. That just doesn't work that way. And they managed to suck everybody into their ecosystem. And I'm going to be honest with you, how can you fault it? I mentioned this. This is over Thanksgiving, my desktop computer died. I bought it in 2013, and I use it, and I drive that thing, video, audio, all the financial software. I mean, I drove that computer hard, to last that long. It's extraordinary. I mean, I remember the PCs that I used to have. I barely last a year and a half to 2 years. You throw them out. You start get the blue screen of death. They'd be clogged up. I mean, you got to think about all of the operating systems, all of the upgrades that my Mac downloaded from 2013 to the end of 2022. That's an impressive piece of hardware. You think you're going to get me to switch brands? You're going to get me to, you're getting a Dell, dude. Remember that commercial? You think I'm going to get a Dell? No, not going to happen. Crypto. Let's get into some of the crypto stuff here. Two stories here. Again, kind of warned about this. Crypto.com. They got an arena, don't they, somewhere? Isn't there a Crypto.com arena somewhere? Anyway, they're laying off 20% of their staff. Unable to account for the collapse of FTX. All impacted personnel have been notified, and that's going to continue. And then we got this other story here as well. The SEC is going after the Winklevoss twins and Gemini. Yeah. It's the SEC. Okay, I'm going to kind of read this because it's hard to get your arms around. The SEC charged cryptocurrency lending firm Genesis Global Capital and crypto exchange Gemini with offering unregistered securities through Gemini's Earn program. So you've got Gemini customers could loan their crypto to Genesis, and then they were promised, 7-8% return. Again, this is where your bank would you couldn't even get 1%. And again, people, it's crypto, it's got to be good. Future. What about the blockchain? Blockchain. Yeah, it was scam. But the funny thing is Securities and Exchange Commission knew about it. They knew about this. Let me tell you something. It wasn't politically expedient for the Securities and Exchange Commission to go after Genesis or Gemini? Yeah, Gemini. Yeah, go after Gemini for lending the money to Genesis. It wasn't politically expedient. Congress was all the rage. Crypto. Do you remember? What was it? Was Rogan was arguing with I forget the name of the guy as well. I'm sorry. In regards to FTX and what was taking place, and he had all these members of Congress. It's the future. It's wonderful. Yeah, they're cutting us checks. So it wasn't expedient for Gary Gensler and the SEC to actually do their job. It is what it is, people. This is kind of how Washington works, right? The Securities and Exchange Commission it's a political animal. Okay, it's a part of the executive branch of government. And Gary Gensler's not going to want to get a phone call from Ro Khanna or other, players in the crypto space out there, politicians that believe in this bullshit, and they let it go. And you got the Winklevoss twins. This is a parking ticket. Well, dude, I mean, you went to Harvard. You didn't see that it was going to be an issue. Where is this? Where are these earnings coming? I mean, can you explain it in English? Not made up brand new words that you come up with there, like the blockchain. Anyway, inflation. We're going to take a look at what's going up, what's going down a little bit in the consumer price index first and foremost, airline tickets, chicken, shoes, down. Eggs, not the case. Eggs, not the case. And the reason behind that, again, it's the avian flu. So, this avian flu caused problem. The Fed can't fix it. Maybe better, I guess, policy decisions out of Washington might make this a little bit easier on farmers to some degree. Bread and breakfast cereal, cookies went up. But again, you're getting certain things are starting to come down. Ground beef, milk, fresh fruits and vegetables have come down to some degree. And some of this had, got energy prices that are down. And I do think that we're going to have a major fall off when it comes to rent and real estate moving forward. I beat this drum repeatedly over the past year or so. The Fed can't fix many of these things. They can't. And again, for the life of me, and I'm going to spend some time this weekend on the radio show talking about this. Putting people out of work and wrecking the economy is not going to help when it comes to the price of eggs. Not going to help when it price of any of these things. These are necessities. These are things that people have to buy. And there's a difference. You can put off. I actually was talking about it this morning when it was all the supply chain issues that were taking place not too long ago. But a year or so ago, I needed some pieces of outdoor furniture, and I was taking a look at the price. Not to mention the price, just also the delivery and how far push out. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. I said, I'm not paying for this. This is insane. I'll wait. And what did I do? I waited, and the price collapsed. I didn't have to have it. It wasn't a necessity. It's the inflation, the sticky inflation when it comes to food. Again, like to see it coming down to some degree, but those are the things that really matter. Those are the things that frustrate Americans, what they're paying at the grocery store, what they're paying at the pump, what they're paying for their electric bill. That's where it hurts. Anyway, let's move into some green stuff I wanted to get into here. Two stories. It's fascinating to me. First and foremost, I saw this story, and there's this LKAB. It is a Swedish mining company. And they said they have found what they believe to be Europe's largest known deposit of rare earth elements. That's good news. That's, great news. They're thrilled. This is the stuff that goes into the electric cars, the wind turbines, the magnets, the glass screens, all sorts of electronics. And most of this stuff currently we get from where? China. Now, here's the story. The discovery could pave the way for rare earth elements to start being mined in Europe, with the region currently wholly reliant on imports from a market dominated by China. So I read on and on and on and, all this information. And then I see this. Talks about permitting and licensing. They said, if we look now at how other permit processes have worked within our industry, it's going to be at least 10 to 15 years before they can actually start mining. Are you kidding me? 10 to how does it take that long? 10 to 15 years in today's to start mining? Why? Again, we hold ourselves back. Here's another green story. This one was in the Wall Street Journal. And again, I read, ooh, cool, neato. If you read on the surface, ooh, neato. They got a climate startup that is, it's in Iceland, and it removes carbon from the air. It's like an air filter. Leave it outside, right? this carbon dioxide, pull it from the air, and they store it underground. They turn it into some kind of rock. It's called Climeworks. They use a vacuum-like device, pull in air, filter it, bury carbon underground, and they're saying that can help mitigate environmental damage caused by human activities. And everybody's like, happy, happy, joy, joy. Huh. Yeah. You know what? No, trees do? No. Trees are better. Okay. Plants are better because plants take in carbon dioxide and they emit oxygen, right? Anyway, but again, how does company make money? Certain companies out there want to improve their ESG score, and they pay Climeworks to filter the air. It sounded a little like a fugazi, little bit. Well, let's go to the videotape in regards to what it actually does. This place that they have in Iceland here that's doing this. How much carbon does it remove over the course of the year? It removes the equivalent of what 800 cars would put out. That's it. I guess they're building a second facility. They're building a second facility that's capable of removing 36,000 metric tons. This one removes 4,000 metric tons. It's emissions for about 800 passenger cars for a year. All right, and I'm glad you could scale it up to 36,000. But let's think about this for a second, because there's energy that needs to be burned in order to make this work, right? They've got part of the process is they have to heat the carbon up to 210 degrees Fahrenheit. The trapped carbon dioxide is combined with water so that another startup, Carbfix, can pump it underground into stone for storage for thousands of years. Again, they get $180 per metric ton of removal. Now, again, why does this? They can do this in Iceland. They can't do this everywhere. Oh, wow, you put these things up everywhere, be solving all of our problems. No. It uses energy. The article doesn't look into that. I said, well, could you put this up in New York? No. Yeah. What does Iceland have? It's got volcanoes. The geothermal situation over there is different than in many places around the globe. So again, that brings the costs down in regards to doing heating the carbon up. Again, I've always been a big believer. Just plant more trees. Just keep planting trees, people. That's all. Yeah, keep planting trees. The trees work great, man. It's a great filter. Great carbon dioxide filter. Anyway, Joe Rogan. Again, I'm a big fan of what he does. So he's the best. Again, he is the guy. Limbaugh was to talk radio. Rogan is to podcast. He does a great job on his program. And again, I like the fact that he's an equal opportunity basher on the show. He went off. He had a former CIA agent and on the program, and they were talking about George Soros and how George Soros, what he does and how he goes about and how he operates. And Rogan actually had a conversation. He said, I'm going to quote him. He said, I had a conversation with the governor of Texas about Soros, Greg Abbott, where he was explaining to me what George Soros does. And it's blanking terrifying that he donates money to a very progressive, very leftist, whether it's a DA or whatever politician, and then funds someone who is even further left than them to go against them. He just keeps moving it along. So he's playing like a global game, and he enjoys doing it. And again, that's and I've talked about that before here on the program. And my whole Ron DeSantis thing, stay in Florida, because that's where you really change things. That's where you really change. It's not in Washington, D.C. It's on the local level. First-hand knowledge of what happens when you screw up locally. Look at New York City. You went from Giuliani to Bloomberg. You went from basically a city that was turned into Zurich. And I drive around now and people go, stumbling into the streets, watching people shoot up in the streets. Like what happened to Portland. I mean, wasn't that long ago? The great television show there, Portlandia. Fred Armisen, he did such a great job. What was the other? I feel terrible. His partner in the program, the other female lead, her name will come to me in a second. They did a great job on that show. And it just, keep Portland weird. It was a weird place, but it was a safe place. No, it's not. It's not. And that's what happens. That's what happens. You've got this, here you go. You got the DA, the Manhattan DA, this Bragg fellow. This was in the local paper yesterday. I don't know if you remember long ago. They had a bunch of people basically beat the living hell out of a Jewish kid walking down the street wearing a yarmulke. In essence, it was a hate crime. It's a pro-Palestinian group. Again, busted up his face, maced his face. They pummeled this kid. This type of violence warranted usually, at least over 5 years in prison. 6 months. Plea deal. 6 months. This is what you're getting. Anyway, back to the article here. The CIA agent Baker observed that Soros demonstrated insightful knowledge of where the power to change society on the ground level really lies. It's telling, right? He understood early on where you wanted to seize power, right? Sometimes you think, Senator, that's the pinnacle of success. Well, it's not really. It's the DAs. And it's the state level politicians. That's where real change occurs and where things can happen. Or real corrosion, Rogan replied. That's what's scary, is that it seems like he funds corrosion. It's like he wants these cities to fall apart. He wants crime to flourish. It's almost like he's an evil person in a Batman movie. That's what Rogan sounded like me. I never call an evil person in a Batman movie because their villains tend to be kind of cartoonish to some degree, like Ra's al Ghul. Yeah, he wanted to destroy Gotham. Why do you want to destroy Gotham? Well, because it was corrupt. He wanted to wreck it. No, it's more like a Bond villain. In my opinion, more like a Bond villain. I've said that for a while. And guess what? We got this week. They've got the Bond Villain Convention. We're going to be covering it next week on the show. Bond Villain Convention. That's right. Davos kicking off on Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. No shock here. Americans rank congressmen lower than journalists and car salesmen for honesty and ethical standards. Americans do not have tremendous respect for the honesty and ethical standards of car salesmen or journalists, but they still give these people in these professions a higher rating for these characteristics than they do members of Congress. I agree. I don't trust any of them. I really don't. Members, forget it. Again, what do they do? What are they supposed to do? They legislate? Yeah, really. They basically raise money. They cut deal. They horse trade is what they do. Quickly on this before we go today. I saw this story. And I said, I should have mentioned this on the podcast because I saw firsthand. And it was a story talking about McDonald's. You can't find them at any of the rest stops on the New York State Thruway. Now, for everybody all over the country, New York State Thruway it goes from New York City up to Albany, and then from Albany it cuts across the state, through Syracuse to Rochester on to Buffalo, and it's a toll road. Once you get to Albany, further north, it's the Northway. You don't have to pay there. So you don't want to get off. It's a toll road. You don't want to get off. It's designed to have various different rest stops there. So I had to go up to, I haven't been up to many ages, but I mentioned I had to go up for a funeral this past Monday and, stopped at two rest areas, one on the way up, one on the way back down. And It was like I went into, it was like a post-apocalyptic film. It was frightening. Everything in the rest stop was shut down. They had one little like store that was there that was open. The parking lot was filled with garbage everywhere. I was, what the hell happened? Again, I would tell my kids I'm like, do not stop at a rest area. It is some scary shit going on. How is that possible? I don't know. I don't know. I guess, you know, I don't know. They didn't sign leases or something. It's brutal, pathetic, and sad, quite frankly. Anyway, I got to go. Everybody have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Let's go Giants. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com. We'll see you.